The stars went dark for a moment, then something huge came out of empty space. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty and watched his screens fill with red dots. Each dot was bigger than a city block. There were 200 of them. "My God," whispered Dr. Lisa Park. She stood next to Jake, her hands shaking as she looked at the readings. "They're massive." Jake had been in space for 20 years. He had seen asteroids and space stations and the biggest ships Earth had ever built. Nothing came close to what he was looking at now. The alien ships looked like giant daggers made of black metal. They moved in perfect formation, silent and deadly. "Colonel Blake, are you seeing this?" Jake spoke into his radio. "Copy that, Admiral," came the voice of Colonel Ryan Blake from Earth's surface. "We have visual confirmation. Ground defenses are ready, but sir, I don't think our missiles will do much good." Jake knew Ryan was right. Earth's weapons were built to fight other humans. These aliens had crossed space between the stars. Their technology was probably centuries ahead of anything Earth had. The alien fleet stopped just outside Earth's moon. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Jake could hear his own heartbeat. Every person on every ship in Earth's defense fleet was holding their breath. Then the alien sent a message. Dr. Park's equipment lit up with signals. She worked quickly, her fingers flying over her controls. "I'm getting something," she said. It's in English." "How is that possible?" Jake asked. "They must have been watching us, learning our languages." Lisa's face went pale. "Admiral, they've been studying us for a long time." The message came through the speakers. The voice was cold and mechanical, like a computer trying to sound like a person. "Primitive species of the third planet. You will surrender immediately. Resistance is useless. You have one of your time periods called hours to respond. Comply or be destroyed." Jake stared at the radio. In his 20 years of service, he had faced pirates and rebels and natural disasters. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. An entire alien empire was demanding Earth's surrender, and humanity had 1 hour to decide. "Get me President Carter," Jake said. The call took 5 minutes to connect. President Helen Carter appeared on the screen in her office in Washington. She looked tired but determined. "Admiral Morrison, I've been briefed on the situation. What's your assessment?" Jake looked at the alien fleet on his screens. "Madam President, they outgun us by 1,000 to 1. Our weapons probably can't even scratch their shields. If we fight, we'll lose. And if we surrender? Then we become slaves. Just like every other species they've conquered." Helen Carter was quiet for a moment. She was a tough woman who had been a soldier before becoming president. Jake had served under her years ago. He knew that look in her eyes. "Admiral, send them our response." "What should I tell them, ma'am?" Helen Carter smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Tell them to come and take it." Jake's communications officer, Lieutenant Sam Davis, stared at him. "Sir, are you sure about that message?" "Send it exactly as the president said it." Sam's hands moved over his controls. The message went out to the alien fleet. Jake imagined 200 alien commanders receiving those 4 words. "Come and take it." The aliens responded within minutes. This time the voice sounded angry. "Your defiance is noted. Prepare to be destroyed. The Draconian hegemony does not show mercy to those who resist." Jake turned to his bridge crew. These men and women had families on Earth. They had children, and parents and dreams for the future. Now they were about to die fighting an impossible battle. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. You heard the aliens. You heard our president. We're going to fight." Captain Steve Williams spoke from the destroyer UES Eagle. "Admiral, we're with you all the way." More voices came over the radio. Ship after ship reported ready for battle. Earth's fleet was small and their weapons were weak, but every single person was ready to fight. Dr. Park was still working at her station. "Admiral, I'm picking up strange readings from their ships." "What kind of readings?" "Their systems are all connected, like a giant network. They talk to each other constantly, sharing information at the speed of light." Jake nodded. That made sense. An empire that big would need perfect communication to work. But Lisa was still studying her screens. Something was bothering her. There's something else, Admiral. Their network. It's not just for talking. It controls everything. Navigation, weapons, life support, everything runs through the same system. Jake looked at her. Are you thinking what I think you're thinking? If we could get into that network, we could cause some real problems. Jake felt the first spark of hope since the aliens had arrived. Lisa, I want you to work with our computer people. See what you can do. As the alien ships began to move toward Earth, Jake thought about his crew and his planet. The aliens expected an easy victory. They had conquered 47 other worlds. Every species had surrendered quickly when faced with draconian power. But the aliens had never fought humans before. They didn't understand what they were dealing with. Humans were stubborn, humans were creative, and humans never gave up, even when the odds were impossible. Jake watched the alien fleet advance. In a few hours, the battle would begin. Earth's ships would probably be destroyed quickly, but maybe, just maybe, they could hurt the aliens enough to matter. All ships, prepare for engagement, Jake said into his radio. Let's show these aliens what humans are made of. The alien fleet came, closer. 200 massive ships against Earth's small defense force. The battle for humanity was about to begin. Dr. Kevin Hayes had not slept in 18 hours. His eyes burned as he stared at lines of computer code on his screen. Next to him, programmer Amy Chen typed so fast her fingers were a blur. Across the room, systems analyst Ben Torres worked on 3 computers at once. I think I found a way in, Kevin said quietly. Amy stopped typing. Ben looked up from his screens. The 3 of them were in a basement lab under the Pentagon. Above them, the world was preparing for war. Down here, they were fighting a different kind of battle. Show me, Amy said. She moved her chair closer to Kevin's computer. Kevin pointed at his screen. The aliens use quantum encryption, but they're lazy. They use the same key patterns for everything. If we can break one, we can break them all. That's impossible, Ben said. Their technology is hundreds of years ahead of ours. Kevin smiled for the first time in days. Maybe, but they're not creative. Look at this code. It's perfect, but it's boring. No surprises, no tricks. It's like they never had to deal with hackers. Amy understood first. They've never fought anyone who thought like us. Exactly. Every species they conquered was probably honest and straightforward. They've never dealt with people who lie and cheat and find ways around the rules. Ben walked over to look at the code. So how do we get in? Kevin's fingers moved over his keyboard. We don't break their system. We pretend to be part of it. We make fake signals that look like they came from their own ships. In space, the alien fleet was getting ready to attack. War Prime Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Fang. He was 7 feet tall with scales like armor and eyes like yellow fire. He had conquered 12 worlds personally. Status report, Zethkar said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. Commander Vexnil, his second in command, checked his instruments. All ships report ready for assault. The humans have moved. Their pathetic fleet between us and their planet. How long until we destroy them? Minutes, War Prime. Their weapons cannot even scratch our shields. Zethkar nodded. This would be another easy victory. The humans would learn what every other species had learned. Resistance to the Draconian hegemony was useless. But something strange was happening to his ships. Navigation Officer Krelthak frowned at his screens. War Prime, I'm getting odd readings from the fleet. What kind of readings? Small errors in our positioning systems, nothing major, but... Zethkar looked at his screens. 3 ships were slightly out of formation. It was barely noticeable, but Draconian formations were always perfect. Correct. The positions, Zethkar ordered. The ships moved back into place, but 5 minutes later, other ships had drifted out of position. Then their communication system started having problems. Messages took longer to send. Some messages arrived scrambled. On Earth, Captain Steve Williams was getting ready for the most dangerous mission of his life. He sat in the pilot seat of a captured alien shuttle. His team of 6 Marines was crammed in behind him. "You sure this thing will fly, Captain?" asked Sergeant Joe Miller. "We're about to find out," Steve said. His hands moved over the alien controls. Everything was written in strange symbols, but they had figured out the basics. The shuttle lifted off from a secret base in Nevada. It looked exactly like the scouts the aliens had been sending to Earth. Steve hoped the disguise would work long enough to get close to the alien fleet. "Remember the plan," Steve told his team. "We get aboard one of their smaller ships. We plant the devices Dr. Hayes gave us. Then we get out fast." In the shuttle's cargo bay, the devices waited. They looked like small metal boxes, but each one contained years of human computer research. If they worked, the aliens were going to have a very bad day. Back in the Pentagon basement, Kevin's team was having success. They had broken into the edge of the alien network. It was like sneaking into a huge library where all the books were connected to each other. "I'm in," Amy whispered. "I can see their ship data." "Don't change anything yet," Kevin warned. "Just watch and learn." The alien network was incredible. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship was. Their weapon systems shared targeting data instantly. Their shields coordinated to protect the entire fleet. But Kevin saw the weakness. Everything was connected, which meant everything was vulnerable. "Ben, start writing the virus, make it small and quiet. We don't want them to notice it at first." "What should it do?" "Make tiny mistakes. Wrong numbers in navigation. Small delays in communication. Nothing obvious, but enough to make them confused." Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Kate Brown sat in a bunker in Colorado. Her job was to listen to alien communications and figure out what they were planning. But something strange was happening to those communications. "The aliens are arguing," she reported to Admiral Morrison. "Their ship commanders are questioning orders. Some of them think there are traitors in their fleet." Jake Morrison smiled when he heard that. "Traitors? They can't figure out why their systems are having problems. Some of them think it's sabotage by their own people." This was better than Jake had hoped. The aliens weren't just having technical problems. They were starting to distrust each other. On the alien flagship, War Prime Zethkar was getting angry. Half his fleet was reporting minor system failures. Navigation errors were putting ships on collision courses. Weapon systems were misfiring. Communication delays were making coordination difficult. "Find the source of these problems," he ordered Commander Vexnil. "We've checked everything, War Prime. Our systems show no external interference. Then we have traitors among us." Vexnil's scales turned pale. Accusing other Draconians of treason was serious. "War Prime, perhaps the problems are caused by this star system. The human sun might be affecting our equipment." Zethkar's eyes blazed with anger. "Are you questioning my judgment?" "No, War Prime. I'm just trying to understand. The only thing to understand is that someone is betraying the hegemony. Find them." As Vexnil left to investigate his own crew, he didn't notice the small device attached to the ship's main computer. Captain Williams and his team had completed their mission hours ago. The device was already spreading Kevin's virus through the alien network. The virus was designed to learn and grow. Every time the aliens tried to fix a problem, the virus adapted. It spread from ship to ship through their own communication systems. What started as small errors was becoming bigger problems. Dr. Lisa Park watched her instruments as the alien fleet began to show signs of real trouble. Ships were drifting out of formation more often. Some had stopped responding to commands from the flagship. "Admiral," she reported to Jake Morrison, "I think it's working. Their network is breaking down." Jake looked at the tactical display. The alien fleet was still incredibly dangerous, but for the first time since they arrived, they looked less than perfect. "Keep monitoring," Jake said, "and get ready. When their coordination fails completely, we attack." The first alien ship died at 3:47 in the morning, Earth time. War Prime Zethkar watched in horror as the heavy cruiser Void Render spun out of control. Its engines fired randomly, pushing it into a helpless spiral. Sparks flew from its hull as internal systems exploded. "What happened?" Zethkar demanded. Navigation Officer Krelthak's claws clicked nervously on his controls. Unknown War Prime. All systems show normal, then suddenly everything failed at once. Get me Commander Thexvol on the Void Render. No response, War Prime. Their communications are dead. Zethkar watched his ship tumble through space like a broken toy. In 300 years of conquest, he had never seen a Draconian warship die from system failure. Their technology was perfect. It didn't break, but it was breaking now. On Earth, General Rick Davis stood in the command center under Cheyenne Mountain. Around him, dozens of people worked at computers and communication stations. They were coordinating the strangest battle in human history, a battle fought with computer viruses and repurposed satellites instead of guns and missiles. Target acquired, reported Dr. Nancy White from her station. She was a civilian scientist who had never fired a weapon in her life. Now she was aiming orbital satellites at alien warships. Fire when ready, General Davis said. Nancy pressed a button. 300 miles above Earth, a weather satellite changed course. It wasn't designed to be a weapon, but engineer Tom Rodriguez had figured out how to turn it into one. The satellite accelerated toward the alien fleet, moving at 17,000 miles per hour. The aliens never saw it coming. Their sensors were designed to detect energy weapons and missiles. A simple metal satellite moving fast enough looked like space debris. It hit the alien destroyer Bloodfang right in the middle. The impact didn't destroy the ship, but it cracked the hull. Air rushed out into space. Emergency lights flashed as the crew struggled to seal the breach. But that wasn't the worst part. The satellite had been carrying a special gift from programmer Sam Johnson. When it hit the alien ship, it released a new computer virus directly into their systems. This virus was smarter than the first one. It learned how each ship's computer worked, then found the best way to break it. Commander Vexenil stood beside Zethkar on the flagship bridge. His yellow eyes were wide with fear. War Prime, we've lost 12 ships in the last hour. Some to system failures, others to those kinetic impacts. Kinetic impacts from what? Debris. War Prime. Pieces of metal moving very fast. Zethkar's scales darkened with rage. Debris doesn't aim itself at warships. The humans. War Prime. They're using their orbital satellites as weapons. This was impossible. Satellites were for communication and weather monitoring. No civilized species used them as weapons. It was crude and primitive and completely unexpected. Order the fleet to destroy all human satellites, Zethkar commanded. War Prime, there are thousands of them, and while we're shooting satellites, our ships keep malfunctioning. As if to prove Vexenil's point, another warship began spinning out of control. The cruiser Stellar Doom's engines fired at full power, in opposite directions. The ship tore itself apart from the stress. In the Pentagon basement, Kevin Hayes watched his virus spread through the alien network like a digital plague. His team had been working for 36 hours straight. Amy Chen was asleep at her desk. Ben Torres drank his 15th cup of coffee. How many ships are infected? Kevin asked. 70% and growing, Ben replied. The virus is adapting faster than they can create defenses. Kevin studied the data flowing across his screens. The aliens were trying everything to stop the virus. They shut down infected systems, isolated compromised networks, even destroyed their own equipment. But the virus always found new ways to spread. They're starting to disconnect ships from the main network, Amy said. She had woken up and was back at her computer. Good, Kevin said. That means they can't coordinate anymore. On the alien flagship, chaos was spreading as fast as the human virus. Ship commanders couldn't talk to each other. Navigation systems showed different locations for the same ships. Weapon-targeting computers aimed at their own fleet instead of the humans. War Prime Zethkar faced a crisis no Draconian leader had ever experienced. His perfect fleet was falling apart, and he didn't know why. Bring me the chief engineer. He ordered. Engineer Prime Nextar arrived on the bridge. His scales were stained with coolant fluid from emergency repairs. War Prime, I've never seen anything like this. Our systems are fighting against us. Explain. The computer networks are corrupted. But not by normal malware. This is something that learns and adapts. Every time we fix one problem, it creates 2 new ones. Can you stop it? Nextar's head dropped. I don't know, War Prime. The only way might be to shut down every computer system in the fleet. That would leave us defenseless. We're already defenseless, War Prime. Those words hit Zethkar like a physical blow. The Draconian hegemony was never defenseless. They were the predators. They were the conquerors. But now his mighty fleet was being destroyed by an enemy he couldn't see or fight. Captain Steve Williams was back in space, leading another mission in a captured alien shuttle. This time his team included cybersecurity expert Linda Foster and former Air Force pilot Dan Cooper. Their job was to plant more virus-spreading devices on alien ships. Target the big one, Steve said, pointing at a massive battlecruiser. If we can infect their command ships, the virus will spread faster. That ship has 5,000 crew members, Dan said. If we're caught, we won't be caught, Linda said confidently. I've programmed their sensors to ignore us. As far as they know, we're one of their own shuttles. The shuttle approached the alien battlecruiser. Steve felt sweat on his palms as they got closer to the enemy ship. If Linda's programming failed, they would be vaporized in seconds. But the alien ship ignored them. Its sensors had been compromised by the virus, just like everything else. Steve docked with the ship's shuttle bay and his team went to work. Meanwhile, Intelligence Officer Kate Brown was listening to increasingly desperate alien communications. Admiral Morrison, they're starting to panic. Ship commanders are reporting to the flagship that their crews are in open revolt. Revolt? Jake Morrison asked. The Draconians use fear to control their people. But when their technology fails, so does their authority. Lower-ranking aliens are questioning orders. Some are refusing to fight. Jake looked at his tactical display. The alien fleet was scattered across space. Some ships drifted powerlessly. Others fired their weapons randomly. A few were trying to retreat but couldn't coordinate with each other. All ships prepare for attack, Jake ordered. Target the disabled vessels first. For the first time since the aliens arrived, Jake felt like they might actually win. The enemy fleet was twice as big as it had been hours ago. But now it was confused and divided. Human ships moved in coordinated groups, while alien ships operated alone. Dr. Lisa Park watched her instruments as another alien ship suffered catastrophic system failure. Admiral, I'm reading massive power fluctuations across their entire fleet. I think their quantum communication network is collapsing. Jake nodded. Without their network, the aliens couldn't coordinate their superior numbers. They were just a collection of individual ships, each fighting its own battle against an enemy they couldn't understand. The tide of battle was turning, and the aliens finally realized they were not fighting primitive humans armed with simple weapons. They were fighting something far more dangerous: human creativity, determination, and the refusal to accept defeat. Dr. Lisa Park stared at the alien data streaming across her screens. She had been studying Draconian technology for days, but something new had caught her attention, something that could change everything. Admiral Morrison, I need to see you. Immediately, she said into her radio. Jake Morrison arrived at Lisa's lab within minutes. Behind him came physicist Dr. Carl Weber and quantum engineer Sarah Taylor. The 3 scientists had been working together since the invasion began. What did you find? Jake asked. Lisa pointed at a complex diagram on her screen. Their quantum communication system. It's not just for talking between ships, it connects their entire empire across the galaxy. Carl studied the data. Instantaneous communication across light years. That's how they coordinate an empire spanning dozens of star systems. Exactly, Lisa said. But here's the important part. It's all connected. Every Draconian ship, every space station, every colony world. They all use the same quantum network. Sarah understood first. If we could overload that network, we could crash their entire civilization, Lisa finished. Not just the fleet here at Earth. Every Draconian installation in the galaxy would lose coordination. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. They weren't just talking about winning a battle anymore. They were talking about destroying an entire interstellar empire. Can it be done? He asked. Carl and Sarah looked at each other. Theoretically, yes, Carl said. But we'd need access to their quantum transmitters, and we'd have to time it perfectly. I can get you access, Jake said. Captain Williams's team has been planting devices on their ships. But what do you mean about timing? Lisa pulled up another screen showing the alien fleet. War Prime Zethkar is getting desperate. Our sources say he's planning one final attack. He's going to throw everything he has left at Earth. When? Soon. Maybe hours. Jake realized what Lisa was suggesting. You want to wait until they attack, then trigger this quantum weapon? It's our only chance, Sarah said. If we try it now, some of their ships might escape. But if we wait until they're all committed to the attack, we get them all, Jake finished. It was a dangerous plan. Earth would have to survive one last assault from the alien fleet. But if it worked, they wouldn't just save Earth. They would free every world the Draconians had conquered. On the alien flagship, War Prime Zethkar stood before a holographic display showing his remaining forces. Half his fleet was gone. The surviving ships were scattered and damaged. His crew looked at him with fear in their eyes. War Prime, Commander Vexnil said carefully. Perhaps we should consider retreat. Zethkar's yellow eyes blazed with fury. Retreat? The Draconian hegemony does not retreat from primitives. But War Prime, we've lost so many ships, and the network failures are getting worse. Which is why we must end this quickly. Zethkar turned to face his bridge crew. We will commit all remaining forces to one final assault. Every ship, every weapon. We will overwhelm the humans through sheer force. Vexnil wanted to argue, but he could see the madness in his commander's eyes. Zethkar had never lost a battle. The idea that humans could defeat him was driving him insane. As you command, War Prime, orders went out to the surviving ships. Form up for final assault. All weapons to maximum power. Prepare for close combat with the human fleet. On Earth, former Air Force pilot Dan Cooper worked with communications specialist Julie Adams in a captured alien shuttle. They were floating near the alien flagship, invisible to its sensors thanks to the virus corrupting its systems. I'm in position, Dan reported to the science team on Earth. Ready to plant the quantum device. Remember, Dan, Lisa's voice came through the radio. You have to attach it directly to their main quantum transmitter. And once you do, you'll have maybe 5 minutes before they detect it. Understood. Julie, you ready? Julie Adams had been a radio technician before the invasion. Now she was about to hack into the most advanced communication system in the galaxy. As ready as I'll ever be. The shuttle docked with the alien flagship. Dan and Julie slipped inside through a maintenance airlock. The corridors were chaos. Alien crew members ran in all directions, trying to repair systems and prepare for battle. No one noticed 2 humans in stolen Draconian uniforms. They found the quantum transmitter room after 20 minutes of searching. The room was filled with strange crystalline structures that hummed with energy. In the center was the main transmitter, a tower of alien technology that reached from floor to ceiling. That's it, Julie whispered. She pulled a small device from her pack. It looked simple compared to the alien technology around them, but it contained the most advanced computer virus humanity had ever created. The device attached to the quantum transmitter with a soft click. Immediately, Julie's handheld computer showed connection to the alien network. We're in, she reported. Uploading the virus now. Back on Earth, the science team watched data flow across their screens. The virus was spreading through the quantum network faster than they had hoped. It reached Draconian colonies light years away in seconds, but they couldn't activate it yet. They had to wait for Zethkar's final attack. The attack came an hour later. Every surviving alien ship accelerated toward Earth at maximum speed. War Prime Zethkar stood on his bridge, watching the human fleet grow larger on his screens. This ends now, he said. Admiral Morrison coordinated Earth's defense from the Bridge of the Liberty. His ships were outnumbered 3-1, but the aliens were desperate and disorganized. It would be a fair fight. All ships engage at will, Jake ordered. Space lit up with weapon fire. Human missiles streaked toward alien ships. Alien energy beams lanced out at human vessels. Ships on both sides exploded in brilliant flashes. But Jake wasn't watching the battle. He was waiting for Lisa's signal. Now. Lisa's voice came over the radio. All alien ships are committed. Trigger the quantum weapon. On the alien flagship, Julie Adams pressed a button on her device. The virus that had been spreading through the quantum network suddenly activated. Instead of causing small malfunctions, it began overloading the entire system. The effect was immediate and devastating. Every quantum transmitter in the Draconian network began drawing maximum power. The feedback loop created by millions of connected devices created a cascade failure that spread faster than light. On the flagship, Zethkar watched his instruments die one by one. "What's happening?" he demanded. "War Prime, we're losing everything. Communications, navigation, weapons, life support. All systems are failing simultaneously." Across the galaxy, the same thing was happening on every Draconian world. Space stations went dark. Planetary defense grids shut down. The quantum network that had held their empire together for centuries collapsed in minutes. War Prime Zethkar realized too late what had happened. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet. They had destroyed his entire civilization. "Impossible," he whispered as his flagship's lights went out. In space around Earth, alien ships drifted powerlessly. Some tried to retreat, but their navigation systems were dead. Others fired weapons randomly as their targeting computers failed. Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet fall apart and knew the battle was over. But more than that, he knew the war was over. The Draconian hegemony was finished. "All ships, cease fire," he ordered. "Begin rescue operations for disabled alien vessels." Even in victory, humans chose mercy over revenge. It was a choice that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. The Draconian flagship Dominion's Fang floated dead in space. Its lights were out, its engines cold, its weapons silent. Inside, War Prime Zethkar sat in his command chair, staring at blank screens. "War Prime," Commander Vexnil said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the humans." Zethkar didn't respond. He had conquered 47 worlds. He had never lost a battle. Now his entire fleet was destroyed, and his empire was falling apart across the galaxy. "Put it through," he finally said. President Helen Carter appeared on the main screen. Behind her stood Admiral Morrison, Dr. Park, and other human leaders. They looked tired but determined. "War Prime Zethkar," Helen said, "I'm offering you the chance to surrender. We will treat your survivors with respect and dignity." Zethkar almost laughed. The humans were offering mercy to the beings who had come to enslave them. No other species had ever done that. "Why?" he asked. "Because that's who we are," Helen replied. "We fight when we have to, but we don't enjoy causing suffering." Around Earth, human rescue ships were already pulling Draconian survivors from disabled vessels. The aliens were confused and frightened, but the humans treated them gently. They gave them food, medical care, and safe places to rest. Dr. Kevin Hayes watched the rescue operations from his lab in the Pentagon. His computer virus had worked better than he had ever hoped. The Draconian network was completely destroyed, and signals were coming in from across the galaxy. "Amy, are you seeing this?" he asked programmer Amy Chen. Amy looked at her screen, which showed interstellar communication data. "Kevin, we're getting messages from dozens of star systems. Species that were conquered by the Draconians are declaring independence." "How many?" "All of them." The quantum weapon hadn't just disabled the Draconian fleet at Earth, it had crippled every Draconian installation in the galaxy. Without their technology, the aliens couldn't control their empire anymore. On Vextar Prime, the Draconian homeworld, Supreme War Prime Galthex faced a crisis that no Draconian leader had ever experienced. Reports were coming in from every corner of the empire. Rebellions on conquered worlds, communication blackouts, fleet commanders going silent. "What news from the Earth fleet?" Galthex demanded. The communication officer's scales had turned pale with fear. "No contact, Supreme War Prime. We lost all communication with War Prime Zethkar 6 hours ago." "Send another fleet immediately." "Supreme War Prime, we cannot. The quantum network is down across the entire empire. We have no way to coordinate our forces." Galthex felt something he had never experienced before: helplessness. the Draconian hegemony, was built on perfect communication and instant coordination. Without those advantages, they were just scattered groups of ships and bases unable to work together. Meanwhile, Captain Steve Williams led the first human diplomatic mission beyond Earth's solar system. His ship, a modified transport vessel, carried representatives from Earth to the Altarian system, where an entire species had just freed themselves from Draconian rule. Captain, Communications Officer Pete Lewis reported, "We're receiving a welcome message from the Altarians. They want to thank us personally." Steve smiled. "Set course for their homeworld. Let's go meet our new friends." The Altarians were a peaceful species that had been enslaved by the Draconians for 50 years. When their oppressors' technology failed, they had quickly taken control of their own world again. Now they wanted to meet the humans who had made their freedom possible. Dr. Lisa Park had a different mission. She was aboard the captured Draconian flagship, studying their technology and trying to communicate with other freed species. Her translation equipment was working overtime as messages poured in from across the galaxy. "Admiral Morrison," she reported, "I'm in contact with 43 different species. They all want to establish relations with Earth." Jake Morrison looked at the star charts showing the former Draconian Empire. Red zones marking Draconian control were turning green as world after world declared independence. What are they asking for? Help, mostly. Many of these species forgot how to govern themselves during centuries of Draconian rule. They want Earth to help coordinate communication between worlds. Are we ready for that kind of responsibility? Lisa smiled. I think so. We've proven we can bring people together instead of conquering them. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Species that had been isolated under Draconian rule suddenly found themselves free to communicate with each other. They shared stories of oppression and dreams of freedom. Engineer Maria Santos found herself in charge of establishing communication networks between liberated worlds. Working with former factory worker Joe Mitchell, she helped set up quantum communication systems that couldn't be controlled by any single species. The key, Maria explained to a gathering of alien representatives, is that no one species controls the network. We all share it equally. This was a completely new idea for many of the aliens. Under Draconian rule, communication had been a tool of oppression. The humans were offering it as a tool of cooperation. On Earth, Intelligence Officer Kate Brown monitored communications from the former Draconian territories. The picture that emerged was remarkable. Instead of chaos and warfare, the freed species were working together to build something new. "Admiral," she reported to Jake Morrison, "the Proximan Federation just signed a trade agreement with 3 other species. The Centauri Alliance is offering to share their medical technology with anyone who needs it. Any sign of the Draconians? Regrouping? No, sir. Their scattered ships are either surrendering or trying to find places to hide. Most of their former territories won't even let them land for supplies." Jake nodded. The Draconian Empire was truly finished. But something better was taking its place. A month after the battle, President Carter addressed the United Nations and the galaxy. Her speech was broadcast to every world that had been freed from Draconian rule. "We didn't fight this war to become conquerors," she said. "We fought it to remain free. Now that the war is over, we want to help others stay free too." The response was overwhelming. Dozens of species wanted to join what became known as the Galactic Cooperation Council. Unlike the Draconian hegemony, this new organization had no central authority. Each world governed itself, but they worked together on common problems. Dr. Carl Weber and quantum engineer Sarah Taylor found themselves designing communication systems for the entire galaxy. Their work ensured that no single species could ever again control interstellar communication. War Prime Zethkar spent his remaining days in comfortable captivity on Earth. Human scientists studied Draconian biology while Zethkar slowly learned to understand the species that had defeated him. "Why didn't you destroy us?" he asked Dr. Park one day. "Because that's not who we are," she replied. "We believe everyone deserves a chance to change." Some Draconians, including Commander Vexnil, eventually chose to stay on Earth and help build the new galactic community. Others returned to their homeworld to try rebuilding their society along more peaceful lines. The galaxy had changed forever. Where once there had been an empire built on fear and oppression, now there was a community built on cooperation and mutual respect. And at the center of it all was a small blue planet whose people had refused to surrender, even when the odds seemed impossible. Humanity had not just won a war. They had shown the galaxy a better way to live.